very interesting. First, we'll have a Zoom call with the Joint Director of the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ms. Deepti Pant. And afterwards, we'll have two panel sessions, one on enhancing export of goods to India under CECPA, and the other one, which is exploring new frontiers for financial services. And are we ready for the Zoom call? So without further ado, I would like to welcome live on stage. We're going to meet Ms. Deepti Pant, Joint Director of the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to share with us her views on CECPA and the way forward that we can collaborate and really make the most out of trading goods between India and Mauritius. Thank you. Well, she was just online, so she should be joining us. There you go. Deepti, can you hear us?
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all for the post-lunch session of CECPA program that has been organized by EDB Mauritius and Indian Embassy in Mauritius. Today, I will be talking with you about the India opportunities, which is, basically we'll be talking about India as a destination, promising destination, and what are the business opportunities that India offers. I represent 𝐂𝐿, one of the largest and the oldest chambers of commerce and industry of India, and I'm thankful for the EDB Mauritius and Embassy for giving us an opportunity to share these potential opportunities with you all today. So first of all, sharing about India as a promising investment destination. Just to give you a snapshot about the Indian industry, India is amongst the fastest growing economies of the world, as we all know, and we are amongst the top 10 recipients of foreign direct investment as per the World Investment Report of UNCTAD 2022. We are ranked 37th on competitiveness index as per the World Competitiveness Index. And also India, with the digitalization happening in the country, we are amongst the leading real-time digital payment method country in the world. India has a population. We have the second largest number of English-speaking population, and with a median age of around 28 years. Around $1.4 trillion infra projects are under pipeline to be completed by 2024-25. We are projected to cross around $400 billion milestone of exports in 2021-22 by the end of this year. Consumer spending in India has been growing, and that's why we are considered as one of the largest markets in the entire Asia and the world. And it is projected to grow from $1.5 trillion to present to nearly $6 trillion by 2030. And India, as we all know, is also one of the largest startup hub of the world. India has the large 2, 3, and 4-wheeler manufacturer base. We have the fourth largest producer of iron ore and agrochemicals, the fourth largest producer of renewable energy in the world, and also the third largest producer of chemicals in Asia. India is the third largest supplier of medicines globally, and we produce the largest cotton in the world. India is also the largest producer of pulses, milk, and millets, and is the second largest producer of wheat, tea, onions, and potatoes. Talking about the regulatory reforms, detailed plan of regulatory reforms has been introduced by our central and state governments to promote and ease the doing of business. India enjoys one of the most liberal FDI regimes, and our production-linked incentive schemes have been launched for around 13 sectors of the Indian economy, and 3 sectors in March 2020 and 10 sectors in November 2020, with an outlay of around rupees 1.97 lakh crore over the next 5 years. And India has been doing comprehensive economic partnership agreements and free trade agreements with many of the countries, providing preferential tariffs for trade, and which has also helped India in promoting our trade and investment relationships with various regions across the world. We have got a national single window system involving clearances by ministries and departments and state governments to provide end-to-end facilitation support to the investors. Startup India, as we know, is one of the flagship initiatives intended to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. India, as we all know, is also has the largest diaspora in the world and is the largest recipient of remittances. The overseas Indian community is the composition of diverse, heterogeneous, and widespread global community representing India, diversity of India across various countries. India has been actively building diplomatic missions and cultural centers and has one of the largest diplomatic network with 202 missions operating globally. Our International Yoga Day celebration on June 21, and yoga has been inscribed as the representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity in the UNESCO. Our Indian film industry, as we all know, is one of the largest, world's largest in terms of number of films produced every year. So now I'll give you a glimpse about the opportunities in across various sectors of the Indian economy. To start with, the first session is food processing sector. So Indian food processing sector is expected to be doubled from $263 billion in 2019 to 20 to $535 billion in 2025. During the last 5 years, ending 2020, food processing sector has been growing at an annual growth rate of around 11.2%. Our food processing, the FDI in the food processing industry has also increased to around 86%, that is during April to September in the fiscal year 2022, which is touching $410.62 million compared to $2020 million in the corresponding previous year. Just briefing about some of the policies that our government of India has launched to promote this sector. So basically, we have a dedicated grievance cell and task force during the initial phase of the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic to liaison with state authorities and this was basically in order food promoting processing units to resume their operations. Then FDI, 100% FDI is permitted across the automatic route in food processing industries in India, and 100% FDI is allowed through the government approved route for trading, including through e-commerce in respect of food products manufactured or produced in India. The opportunities that this sector offers is that there has been a sizable increase in the consumption of organic food in India, and on-the-go eating, pre-cooked, ready-to-eat meals, and switch to healthier eating alternatives has also given a push to the demand in this sector. Government has also sanctioned around 41 food parks funded under the Mega Food Park scheme, of which around 38 have final approval, and in 2014 there were only 2 mega food parks in the country. So we can see that this sector has been rising and also offers a tremendous potential for businesses across the world. Moving on to the next sector, that's the textile sector. The textile sector of India is expected to be worth over $209 billion by 2029. This sector has witnessed a lot of growth in its investment also during the last 5 years, and has attracted FDI of $3.75 billion from April 2020 to March 2021. Government also has been giving a sizable attention to this sector, and PLI schemes for textile, especially focused on high value and expanding MMF and technical textile segment of textile value chain, has launched incentives worth of 10,683 crore to be provided over 5 years to the investors. The government has approved the setting up of 7 Pradhan Mantri Mega Integrated Textile Region and Apparel Parks with an outlay of 4,445 crores in the period of around 5 years. 100% FDI is allowed in the textile sector under the automatic route. Considering the figures and the projections that this sector gives, so India is a large and a growing market, and increasing spending power of people and orientation towards branded products makes it a promising destination for the textile market. In terms of travel and tourism, total contribution to GDP in 2019, during 2019, this sector contributed to our GDP to around 6.8% of the total economy. In fiscal year 2020, the tourism sector in India accounted for around 39 million jobs. However, by 2029, it is projected to account for about 53 million jobs. That shows the tremendous amount of growth that this sector projects. In 2028, the Indian tourism and hospitality industry is projected to earn $50.9 billion as visitor exports vis-a-vis $28.9 billion in 2018. And international tourist arrival are expected to reach 30.5 million by 2028. Coming on to the policies that are present in this sector, is that more than half of the Ministry of Tourism's budget is channelized for funding the development of destinations, tourist circuits, mega projects, as well as rural tourism infrastructure projects. 100% FDI under the automatic route in tourism and hospitality sector is permitted, and 100% FDI in tourism construction projects, including the development of hotels, resorts, and recreational facilities. 100% FDI in the Ayush sector, which is relevant for the wellness and medical tourism segments. The regional connectivity scheme to extend flight connections to 3-tier and 4-tier towns of India as well. Also, e-tourist visa facility has been granted by the Indian government. In terms of opportunities that are there, so we have around 13 theme-based tourist circuits that are being developed under the Swadesh Darshan scheme, and approximately $15.5 million funding is available for the beautification and maintenance of pilgrimage centers under the Prasad schemes. Pharmaceuticals. Talking about pharmaceuticals, India has been playing a very significant role in this segment. In the recent past also, we have witnessed how India has been doing a lot of growth in this particular segment, and we are amongst the top pharmaceutical exporting countries, ranking to third worldwide for production by volume and globally 14th by value. India's pharma companies have enabled by the price competitiveness and the good quality have made global mark with around 60% of world's vaccines and 20% of generic medicines coming from India. The current market size of our pharmaceutical sector is $41 billion, which is expected to reach around $65 billion in 2024, and it is expected to touch the mark of $130 billion by 2030. This sector is also growing at the rate of 10 to 12% annually, and India's pharmaceutical sector is the third largest in terms of volume globally. India has around 60,000 generic brands across 60 therapeutic categories, and we are the largest provider of generic medicines globally, accounting to around 20% of the global generic drugs exports in terms of volume. In this sector, we have various schemes for promotion of bulk drug parks. Also, 100% foreign direct investment in the pharmaceutical sector is allowed under the automatic route for greenfield pharmaceuticals, and 100% FDI is allowed in this sector for brownfield pharmaceuticals, wherein 74% is allowed under the automatic route and thereafter through the government approval route. Investment opportunities in this segment exist in like over-the-counter drugs, vaccines, and contract manufacturing and research. And India is also preferred as a destination for clinical trials due to its heterogeneous patient pool, cost competitiveness, and a skilled labor pool. The cost of clinical trials in India is around 40 to 60% lower compared to the developed market. And India has over 500 contract research labs and over 6 lakh English-speaking skilled investigators. Urban infrastructure, as we all know that India is the second largest urban population in the world, and by 2050, around 50% of the India's population, that is 814 million, is expected to live in urban areas. That's why managing urbanization is one of the most daunting challenges confronted by India today. Accounting for nearly 11% of the world urban population, India's urban system comprises of around 7,932 cities and towns, and with a population of around 377.16 million, which is the second largest in the world. 34% of our total population in 2018, and this number is projected to exceed by 50% by 2046. So the growing urbanization requirements also bring a opportunity to India in this segment, and especially in the smart cities, solid wastewater, sewage systems, road safety, and water resource management segments. The policies that the government has in this segment are that We have various key programs that have been launched by our government. That is 𝐴𝑡𝐿 Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana, Smart Cities Mission, Clean India Mission, and Rural Urban Mission. 100% FDI is allowed under the automatic route for urban infrastructure such as urban transport, water supply, sewage, and sewage treatment. And the government also remains committed to addressing pollution. Health sector, coming on to the health sector, Indian healthcare industry has been growing at the rate of around 22% since 2016. At this rate, it is expected to reach around $372 billion in 2022. India also has been ranked 10th in the Medical Tourism Index in 2020-21 out of 46 destinations by the Medical Tourism Association. E-health market size is also estimated to reach around $10.6 billion by 2025, and India is fourth largest Asian medical devices market after Japan, China, and South Korea. And also we are among the top 20 global medical devices markets in the world. In terms of opportunities that the healthcare sector offers is that we have a huge demand and supply gap. Massive opportunities for building healthcare infrastructure in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities exist. Significant opportunities in India's diagnostic sector are also available. The government of India has been leading some of the flagship events, initiatives of like Ayushman Bharat, which is seeking to comprehensively strengthen the health system right from the primary level to the tertiary care. And 100% FDI is permitted under the automatic route in the hospital sector and the manufacture of medical devices in India. We also have launched National Digital Health Mission to provide and expand the healthcare outreach across India, and all healthcare education and training services are exempted under the service tax. Defense sector. India accounts for 3.7% of the global military spending, and which makes it the third highest military spender globally. The defense expenditure constituted 2.9% of India's global GDP, with approximately $72.9 billion spent on defense in 2020. The Indian government has set the defense production target also to $25 billion by 2025, including $5 billion from exports by 2025. Defense exports in India were estimated to be $1.29 billion only in 2029 and 2020. The government of India has established 2 defense industrial corridors in Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Investments of $2.85 billion have been planned in defense corridors by the year 2024. The Ministry of Defense has formulated a draft defense production and export promotion policy in 2020 to provide a focused, structured, and significant thrust to the country's defense production capabilities for self-reliance and exports. Defense products listing requiring industrial licenses has been rationalized by our government, and manufacture of most of the parts or components does not require industrial license, promoting greater participation of private sector. The opportunities that exist in this segment are collaboration for state-of-art technologies, technology transfer and manufacturing know-how to set up domestic manufacturing infrastructure and supply chain. Renewable energy. India ranks third in renewable energy country attractive index in 2021. India has set an ambitious target to achieve a capacity of 175 gigawatt worth of renewable energy by the end of 2022, which expands to 500 gigawatt by 2030. This is the world's largest expansion plan in an renewable energy segment done by any country. India's installed renewable energy capacity has also increased to 86% in the last 7.5 years and stands at more than 151.4 gigawatts. Our PLI schemes in solar PV manufacturing with financial outlay of INR 24,000 crore have been offered. Up to 100% FDI is allowed under the automatic route for renewable energy generation and distribution projects, subject to the provisions of the Electricity Act 2003. We have a national solar mission to promote renewable energy sector and the national hydrogen mission. The government of India has notified the offshore wind energy policy to harness the potential of offshore wind energy along India's coastlines. Opportunities exist in one solar city per state approved and approval setting up to 45 solar parks of 37 gigawatt across the nation. The world's largest renewable energy park of 30 gigawatt capacity solar wind hybrid project is under installation in Gujarat. Several opportunities in wind and solar hybrid, offshore wind energy, floating PV projects, and green hydrogen exists in India. Fintech sector. The growth trajectory of India's fintech sector has been exponential. Of the 2,100 plus fintechs existing in India today, 67% have been set up in the last 5 years. Fintechs have cumulatively raised more than $10 billion since 2016, capitulating the sector's total valuation to an estimated $50 to 60 billion. India is strongly poised to realize a fintech sector valuation of $150 to 160 billion by 2025. Indian government has facilitated the fintech industry with a slew of structural reforms and initiatives like Goods and Services Tax Network and Trade Receivable Electronic Discounting System. Initiatives like the Regulatory Sandbox Framework and the Open Credit Enabled Network exhibit the Indian government's intent to move forward with innovation. Government development and the rollout of authentication solutions, including digital KYC, video-based customer identification process, and digital signature, has created various safeguards and a hassle-free system for fintech startups. National Automated Clearing House System has been successfully used for making bulk transactions too. Opportunities exist in the fintech value pyramid continues to broaden, and an increased number of tech, that is insurance tech and wealth management, broking fintechs and SaaS players will gain large multi-million-dollar valuations. Strong tailwinds are likely to continue, and India's deep-rooted consumer demand, diverse capital flows, and a strong tech talent will continue to be aided by enabling regulations and infrastructure. Semiconductors. Semiconductors has been a point of discussion amongst the various countries, and in this regard, Indian semiconductor market has been estimated at around $15 billion in 2020 and is expected to grow to around $60 billion by 2026. Given that our government has mandated that we will be trying to be self-reliant in this segment, India's display panel market is estimated to be $7 billion and is expected to grow to $15 billion by 2025. The government has approved the Semicon India program with an outlay of INR 76,000 crore on 15 December 2021 to establish a trusted electronic value chain in the areas of application of fabrication and packing technologies, a scheme for setting up of compound semiconductors, silicon photonics, sensors fab and semiconductor assembly, testing, marking and packaging, OSAT facilities in India is being implemented. The scheme for setting up these facilities in India shall extend fiscal support of 30% of capital expenditure to approved unit. The design-linked incentive scheme has been announced and is aimed to help budding Indian semiconductor designing firms. Opportunities exist in the Indian Semiconductor Mission, which has been set up as a dedicated institution for Semicon India program and has already received 5 applications for semiconductor and display fabs with total investment to the tune of $20.5 billion. Under the scheme for setting up display fabs in India, applications have been filed for setting up Gen 8.6 TFT LCD display fab and 6th generation display fab to manufacture state-of-art AMOLED display panels used in approved smartphones, advanced smartphones. Talking about the electric vehicle segment, according to the independent study by CEEW, that is the Center for Energy Finance, EV market in India will be over $200 billion opportunity in 2020. A report by Indian Energy Storage Alliance projects that the Indian EV market will grow at a CAGR of 36% till 2026. The EV battery market is also projected to grow at a CAGR of 30% during the same period. India's commitment to EV 30 at 30 initiative to reach a 30% sales share of EVs by 2030 presents a cumulative investment opportunity of as large as INR 19.7 lakh crore. To promote the domestic electric vehicle industry, the Government of India has provided tax exemptions and subsidies to EV manufacturers and consumers. The Government of India has clarified that no license is required to operate EV stations, charging stations in India. Battery operated, ethanol operated and methanol operated, methanol powered transport vehicles exempted from the requirement of permits. As per the phased manufacturing proposal, the government has imposed 15% custom duty on parts that are used to manufacture electric vehicles and 10% on imported lithium-ion cells. The revised duty under PMP has been proposed from April 2021. 100% FDI is allowed under the sector under automatic route. Opportunities exist in electric vehicle charging stations, electric vehicle equipment manufacturing battery, recycling business, battery swapping technology, and software developments. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence market of India is expected to reach $7.8 billion by 2025, growing at a CAGR of 20.2% as per the International Data Corporation. AI software segment would dominate the market and grow from $2.8 billion in 2020 at a CAGR of 18.1% by the end of 2025. To promote this sector, the Government of India has constituted the National Research Foundation under a new National Education Policy 2020. NRF is an autonomous body established to boost research across segments, including AI. the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, recently launched a new version of its portal, version 3.0, MCA21, which will leverage data analytics, AI, and ML to simplify regulatory filings for companies. Responsible AI for Youth is a national program for government schools to empower the younger generation to become AI ready and reduce the skill gaps in India. Jointly developed by METI and NASSCOM, in June 2020, the Indian government launched a dedicated artificial intelligence portal. The portal will act as a one-stop shop for all AI-related developments and initiatives in India. Opportunities exist in AI in healthcare, which is for disease prevention and diagnostics, AI in agriculture for crop selection, crop monitoring, soil sampling analysis, predictive analytics. AI in education for teaching, courseware development, AI in security, surveillance, combat systems, cyber crimes, adaptive communications. Indian electronics sector. India's electronics manufacturing industry is projected to reach $520 billion by 2025. Consumer electronics and appliances industry in India is expected to become the 5th largest in the world by 2025. Initiatives such as Digital India and Smart City have raised the demand for IoT in the electronic devices market and are expected to usher a new era of electronics. A budget of INR 36,440 crores has been approved by the government for the first round of PLI schemes, and 100% FDI is allowed under the automatic route. In case of electronic items of defense, FDI of up to 49% is allowed under automatic route and beyond 49% through the government approval. Opportunities in the electronic sector exist in wearable devices manufacturing, medical devices, automotive power electronics for mobility, smart home devices, and cell phone manufacturing. Civil aviation has also emerged as one of the fastest growing sectors in India, and at present Indian civil aviation MRO market stands at around $900 million and is anticipated to grow at $4.3 billion by 2025, increasing at a CAGR of around 14 to 15%. India's drone industry will also have a total turnover of up to $1.8 billion by 2026, backed by a major boost given to the sector via the PLI scheme. Opportunities exist in demand for MRO facilities has increased, greenfield airport under PPP model, navigation and air traffic management systems, human resource development. Governments envision to make India as one of the top air sport nations by 2030. Biotechnology. Biotechnology is again the size of the India's biotechnology industry was $63 billion in 2019 and is projected to reach $150 billion by 2025. By 2025, the contribution of Indian biotechnology industry in the global biotechnology market is expected to grow to 19% and 3% in 2017. India is among the top 12 destinations of biotechnology worldwide and third largest biotechnology destinations in the Asia-Pacific region. The opportunities this sector offers as bio-industry is a big opportunity: biofuel, bioplastic and bioenergy, biosimilars, bioagriculture, and vaccines are the areas that offer potential to the international investors. So with this, I would like to conclude the presentation, and I hope that we see the amount of opportunities that the various sectors of Indian economy offers, not just to in one certain sectors, but each and every sector is full of opportunities. And I welcome you all to consider India as a destination to work together and for the growth of both the countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dipti. I think there's a lot for us to grasp, so evidently a lot of work. India has plenty of opportunities, but I think what we can take out is the double-digit growth in most of the sectors, and India growing from $1.5 trillion as a consumer market to $6 trillion. So definitely, for reaching out to the market, the beer market is huge, and potentially using India as well with its multiple bilateral agreements that it has, other comprehensive economic cooperation partnership agreements that it has with Asian countries, and free trade agreement as well with Asian countries, certainly could bode well for manufacturers from Mauritius using India as a platform for Asia. Just to give the team 2 minutes to prepare the stage before I invite the next team, or my colleague, Mr. Girish Bhaktawant Singh, which is the Director of Industry at the Economic Development Board, who is going to be the moderator for the panel session on enhancing exports of goods to India under CECPA. And I will allow him the privilege to call on stage his members for the panel. Girish, all yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'll invite all the 6 panelists, okay? Vishal Yadav, Stéphane Lefebvre, Devesh Dokura, Manish Patel, Sylvain Oxenham, and Shadanan Bihari. Please. Good afternoon. It's working? Good afternoon, everybody. This morning, I'm sure you have been listening to a number of intervention, quality intervention, and no doubt you all has felt the commitment, the enthusiasm, the energy in order to make CECPA successful. India is an important market, has been described, with the rising population, the rising number of young people under 35 years old, the rising of the middle class, the brand conscious now, India, and of course implying that they have much more purchasing power, which means also that little Mauritius can find a niche market there. For us at the Economic Development Board, we always work shoulder to shoulder with our stakeholders who are present here today. And today I'm privileged to be deliberating, exchanging with you, discussing about this particular topic of enhancing exports to India under CECPA. I'm having a number of very eminent persons who are both expert from either the supply side, they have been working in it since a long time, or they are close in the demand side, they know what the demand side is looking for, or they are in interaction with a number of association organizations in India. Welcome to all of you. Good afternoon. And before that, I start with the questions with regards to CECPA. I'm also time bound. I'm now having half an hour for this particular discussion. A short presentation to all those who are with me. Of course, central is Mr. Yadav from 𝐂𝐿 worldwide, an organization that are present in a number of countries. But what's more important, 𝐂𝐿 present in many countries that I work with many institutions. He has been in interface with 500 buyers of India. So he has been discussing and talking with these 500 buyers. This is very important to share with us today. We have on my right is Stéphane Lefebvre, a successful company in Natech that are already exporting to India. And he is having 20 years of experience in the medical devices manufacturing experience, working with a number of companies. I can say doyen, an expert in commercializing of this wide range of medical instruments. I'm having Sylvain Oxenham, company known to all of us, has been present here since a very long time, specialist in the manufacturing of the spirit. On my right, on my left is Divesh Dukira, who works for the CEO of MSS. He has been working with MSS since 2015 now, and he's quite active and aggressive to get into the Indian market. We heard about the initial success already of MSS. We have Mr. Manish Patel, who is the CEO of Aquarel Group, heading the Mauritius and the Madagascar operations, and the group is even exporting to India. But they have 25 years of experience in the textile industry. He worked for Arvind Mills in India. He works in Mauritius, so he's well connected with this market. And Mr. Shordanand Bihari could not make it. He is represented by his son today, who is also a member of the Hindu Business Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Professional. They have been to India recently. They have met with a number of stakeholders. They have signed a number of MOUs. So, gentlemen, welcome to all of you. I won't go about, I think, on the intro about CECPA has much been done. I won't go through it, but I'll go direct to the fundamentals of the questions that most probably the audience also wants to have some more details. Central is Vishal Yadav. You have been discussing with some 500 buyers with regards to the products made in Mauritius. And we know India is a big market, but India is also a competitive market. And in this competitive, big Indian market, to what extent you find the made in Mauritius product that you have been liaising, that we have been communicating with you, attractive for the Indian market of today?
Thank you. So, yes, as you rightly said, there are two different aspects. One is big and second is competitive. So when we say big, it is not just our population, but it is also growing demand. At the same time, the expandable money, which the additional spendable money which people have, especially in middle class. So it is a big market, no doubt in it, but then strategically handling a big market needs a different strategy from the perspective of Mauritian companies. When we say competitive, there is a middle class, a lower middle class, and a higher class, okay? And everyone, I mean, if we go to middle class, it is about 33%. If we go to lower class, it is about 40%. If we go to higher class, it is about 9 or 11%, yeah? And all of these classes are doing good. So every product which gets launched in India, there is a market, yeah? And you need to decide where the competition is. So when we go to lower class, yeah, there is always a competition. You will find cheap Chinese product bombarding the Indian market everywhere. So Mauritian companies need to choose wisely, and I advise to serve middle class and higher middle class and higher class as a target, which is about 40-45% of the total population. So if we strategically define the target group and the target audience, I think there are good chances of having a success in Indian market.
But I'll just add up to it, knowing that segmentation is very important in a market like India, knowing the difference that you have from north to south, southeast to west, yeah, in terms of consumption patterns, and knowing also the perception of India looking at Mauritius maybe as a more touristic results, okay? What, according to you and the study you made, the best way to position the Mauritian products in India so that we can develop a niche market?
Perception is one thing which, as I said before, it is difficult to change perception. We have to bow down in front of perception and realign our strategy. So as you rightly said, the perception of having Mauritius as a touristic location is there. But then with activities like CECPA, it is changing. Second, we have to create that brand image in the market that Mauritius products are good quality products, at the same time affordable pricing products. And this is not something which companies can do alone. Government plays very important role. Agencies like ADB plays very important role. I think it should be a slogan which everyone should take it ahead, and then only we can make or create that difference. There has to be efforts on the lines of media. There has to be a good, which we can create on the social media, print media, the television ads. So one thing is that, and second thing is doing a ground level activities like we have done. Yeah, reaching to 500 specific importers, asking them for their opinion. Yeah, so having a team of ADB, Crescendo doing it together, we may put a target of reaching to 5,000 importers, yeah, and getting them converted or creating that interest of buying from Mauritius. I think from both the sides, if we put efforts, target is not long.
Thank you, Vishal. I'll go immediately and bounce back to Stefan. Stefan, Natech has already been exporting to India prior to CECPA agreements. You have been successful as an exporter to this market. We heard Crescendo in the morning stating that India, if there's a particular segment where they import the products a lot, 80% of the imports are in the medical devices. But before we go to that fundamentals of the future, could you share with us what you believe have been the ingredients of success for Natech, you know, to be able to position itself in that competitive market already, okay, and sustain also, which is very important. It's not a one-off. So what has been these ingredients? So, can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Hello. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for having me here. I have to say that, first of all, Natech is not a startup company. You have to understand that we've been trying and fighting to do business in India for 25 years. So it just doesn't happen overnight. It took quite a lot of time to get there. What I would say has been the success for us at Natech Medical is maybe 3 ingredients. The first one would be the technology itself. When it was developed in '98, it was developed in Europe. It was something that no one else in the world had. So bring this in Mauritius and then being able to sell it and distribute it in India, that's what allowed us to make the success of it. The second one was the ability to build this technology at an affordable cost and control, because the market of India, as you know, is price sensitive. So it's very important to hit the market ground running at that cost level. And that was we were able to do this here because of the environment that you have. And but most important was the quality of the product. Here we have a labor force that allow us to build a product that is of high quality. We can compete with any American product. I know there was a doctor earlier that I'm sure is buying product here in Mauritius from Boston Scientific. I can guarantee you that we pass the same level of testing for our product. So that's, I think, what was the reason for the success of Natech in India. But one last factor that was very key to us is, as Vishal mentioned, India is growing. You see all those numbers, there's billions everywhere, it's huge, and there's actually a huge demand for medical device. And we arrived at the right time, at the right place. I'd like to take credit for it, but there's actually something to be said for being at the right time, at the right place. And India is a growing market, which had a need, and we had the product that, again, took 15 years to develop.
So we could understand from Stefan that usage of technology managed to beat competition to even India, who has got I don't know how many engineers there present, and also adapting the product to what the market is looking for. And I'll immediately go to Devesh, who we heard today about the success of the special sugar in India. And you know, one question that keeps on doubting my mind, and as it was rightly said, India is themselves the largest producer of cane sugar. And true that we also have an history in our manufacture of sugar. We have a long history of manufacturing sugar of high quality. We brought a number of innovation with MSIRI and all. And now that you are trying on this market, you are at the start of your marketing efforts to penetrate the market. How you perceive the market of new India today with the advent also of CECPA?
Thank you, Girish. Good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, I think as Mr. Yadav mentioned, you have a certain segment of a market. It's an increasingly affluential market. We just look at the metro cities, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're talking about 25% of the population. And my understanding is you have a segment is probably 0.5 to 1% of the population going after premium products. And you're right, very often people will tend to think, you know, just like bringing coal to Newcastle, you know, why there's so much sugar available, how can you sell there? Yet we have realized that you have certain niche market segments which are still untapped. For instance, untapped firstly, and then secondly, there's that changing consumer trend, and there's also that, if I can call it, a craze for imported products. I'll just make an example, something which is already working in India. For instance, India is a large producer of tea. You have a British brand, Twinings, which is being sold by a British company. So it's produced in India, but it's a question of positioning and branding. Likewise, you have Tabasco, maybe that's another product. India is well known for the chili paste that locally produced. Yet, this is a product that they are doing by container loads per month. And so in the same manner, we have managed to get into contact with a few potential distributors who are in that niche market segment. So as they call it, they have a gourmet food type of segment, whereby people are willing to pay the price. I can tell you in the case of sugar, for instance, it's being imported currently from UK. Probably the sugar is produced in Mauritius, goes all the way to UK. They pay 100% tariff when it gets into India, and being sold at probably 10 times higher than the price of white sugar per kilo packet. And hence, with this CECPA, Girish, obviously with a 10% duty reduction, probably the same sugar will be made available in the market at half the price of what is currently being sold from UK. And it's exactly the same product, but it's a question of a positioning and the branding that we need to work on.
Thank you, Devesh. But Devesh, markets definitely dictate the production. And are you developing specific labels product for the Indian markets? Are you developing special brand products, or are you going in alliance with any distributor in order to develop products that cater for this particular audience?
We currently have 18 varieties of special sugars, and already we have identified a few varieties. By the way, we had a trial order which just cleared customs yesterday, in fact, in India, with 6 or 7 varieties that obviously will have to try the market. But it will be branded. A new brand will be created because obviously you need to adapt the brand according to the market. We don't have like an international brand. And we are quite convinced that it's just a question of having the right positioning. And I think also my understanding in that niche segment that we are targeting, there is that sort of people are fond of that French. So probably we need to develop something a bit French type of word behind the brand that create it a bit more sexy. So we are working on that.
Yes, definitely. There's some finesse attached with the French brand, French culture itself, and definitely the number of usage of French words in English itself has been increasing a lot. Manish CL Group is present in India, and they have operations there, and CECPA now is providing the opportunity to export 7.5 million pieces duty-free. We know that for the shirt that you manufacture at 𝑃𝑟𝑎𝑣𝑖𝑐, this is under discussion. But I want to take it from, from a broader perspective. Mauritius is not a low-cost producer of garments, and positioning Mauritius in the Indian market with this preferential access, is this something possible? Are we competitive?
Well, thank you, first of all. Well, when I listen to all of you, I think I'm in the wrong segment. I'm in textiles and competing in India. But having said that, and the story is very similar to what you were saying, Stefan, or what you are mentioning. It's segmenting the market and where you want to position yourself. So, and why would you want to position yourself, and what is your entry barrier? So for Stefan, the entry barrier might be technology or research. For you, it's the glamour or the romance of sugar. For us, it is the product. So the product that we supply to India is really at the high end of shirt manufacturing. Only 3 people in the world have this technology. We are one of them. And that just gives us access to a market with a product which they don't currently produce themselves. Or the entry barrier to producing it is high. So it's pretty much the same narrative as all of you have said. It has to be well thought, and what niche you want to target, and how would you market your product. So the fact that we sell shirts to India, ironically, we don't have access to the CECPA advantage yet. But still, with the 30% duty, we are still attractive to that market. What CECPA can bring to us with the duty-free access is our ability to land into that market at a price point which will be more attractive to more and more segments in the market. So that's really, and as we know, as we go down the affordability, the volume increases. So that's really the nutshell of what we are doing or what we are exporting. And of course, there is another sense of Cell Textile, which is that we manufacture in India. So we've been in India for 15 years now. So
I could see optimism. I could see on your side cautiously optimism. So I'll immediately go to Sylvain. Sylvain, spirits is in high demand in India. We saw it in the morning, whiskey topping the list. But what's more important is also the beer that you manufacture, the rum, which is in the third positions, And yes, of course, India is also importing spirits. And probably, what are the uniqueness of our spirits, in particular, that you are using to attract distributors and eventually the end consumers of India? Because it's about tasting at the end of the day.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you, UDB, for inviting me. Yes, I think it's a big potential. What is nice, it is a nice business model. We have the raw material just under our feet, sugar. We have a big culture. 500 years, sugar and rum has been working together. We have a long history. We have a great know-how. Mauritius is reputed for its textile and for its tourism, so we have a good reputation. So customers will look for suppliers which is serious, and we are there. What is particular with our rum compared to the others is that our rum is in the tropic. It's an island, it's extreme. Then all our 5 or 6 distilleries are scattered all over the island. And what is nice is that for aging, we have different climate, which is quite multiple different climates, so they are aged at different stage, and therefore they give different taste. So when the customer comes, which is nice, and he can have a different type of rum, and each territoire they have their own particular taste and characteristic.
Okay, so Mauritius tastes good. Mr. Bihari, you have been going with the chamber to India. You have met a lot of stakeholders there from the different chambers you met, and you explained them about what Mauritius is doing, the modern Mauritius, how we are. What has been their comments, what has been the feedback, what are the prospects you identified in order to give a more depth to that trade partnership with Mauritius?
Thank you, Mr. Girish. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am myself Nitish Bihari from the Hindu Business Chamber of Commerce and Industrial Professionals. First of all, we are a newly born chamber since 1 year. Last week, we had the opportunity to bring 25 delegates to Gujarat and Delhi. We signed an MOU with Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and PSG Chamber of Commerce. Both we agreed to develop commercial links between India and Mauritius through the CECPA. The Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and PSG Chamber of Commerce organize B2B meetings with their members and our members in the agricultural, pharmaceutical, renewable energy, marine and food processing, and also finance sector. So by these points above, we look forward for a better partnership with Mauritius and India through CECPA. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll go back to Vishal. Now that you have had the first, feel of what our operators are telling about India, and we could see from each of them about the targeting more a bit of the high end. Would you recommend that the target, when you start a particular marketing campaign, go more to the high end customers in metropolitan cities, okay? Knowing that in Mauritius, we are not at all a mass market producer or a low-cost producer.
Hello. Yeah. So as I said before, Mauritian companies should target middle class, higher middle class, and higher class of India, which is about 40% of the total population. Who are the spenders? And they are located more on the side of metro and tier 1 cities of India. So when we name it Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Kolkata, followed by cities like Pune, Indore, Surat and Ahmedabad, so Vishakhapatnam, all of these cities are the decision makers, and there is no much competition. So these are the people who care for quality. These are the people who have spending capacity, and these are the people who love to have international products used in their daily life. So targeting these products in metro and tier 1 cities of India can give us a good results in the Mauritius company perspective.
Stefan, now that you have been successful in your start with the Indian market, and with the successful negotiation, with the elimination, now with the gradual elimination of the tariff with the CEPCA, do you foresee an increase in volume export? Do you, in your product categories that you do you foresee some more diversification? How you foresee the future for Natech now?
So actually the implementation of the CECPA resulted for us in a marginal gain in market share, but it actually put us at par with competition, meaning American competition or catheter from China or Japan. So we're suddenly able to compete in the same ballpark, and that's what's really put us on the map. As far as us going forward, our continuing growing in India for us we will rely on expanding our product line and working on new technology. First of all, around our core competency, which is art disease, And so catheter for the legs, for example, and different technology. Instead of balloon and drugs and stent, we might go with microwave, so integrate some electronic into the system. So those are the type of technology development that we're currently working on, and that's what will allow us to grow. Basically, the implementation of the CECPA allows us to earn more revenue, to invest more in R&D. For us to survive, we have to invest in R&D, we have to continue what we're doing now. We cannot compete with India on a low-cost medical device, like a pouch, an infusion pouch, it's not gonna work. A small syringe, anybody can do injection molding. However, the needle, how it's gonna look like, how you're gonna make it, it's gonna make a difference, and that's the technical part of the syringe. So we really need to look at products that have added value to the customer and have some technology in them. And that's what will allow to grow again in India.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, India is a big market. We heard at that time we cannot compete with India, but we hear also that we can develop a niche market in India. Devesh, when it comes to special sugar, India is also manufacturing special sugar, right? India is also importing special sugar from other places, okay? And what, from perspective of Mauritius, what are the major attributes of our special sugar that we can push forward in order, to not develop a niche market, maybe dominate a niche market tomorrow?
Well, first in terms of import, it's very limited, I should say, what we have been importing from India, because from other countries, from UK, for instance, because 100% tariff makes the sugar twice, and it's very prohibitive. Now, they do produce some, they call it special sugar, but I think there is a difference in the quality. I would say we have been producing these sugars for the last 40 years now, and the experience of developing the different varieties is like with the demand in the different countries. We are exporting to 55 countries currently, so that gives us an edge. And I'm pretty sure, already I was there in August, a few potential buyers that we have met. Already, as you mentioned earlier, one of them has already placed a trial order. So they themselves, they see the difference. And I think with this variety that we have, the free-flowingness, this is where we're going to put all the emphasis. We are quite confident that we should make a good inroad.
Well, definitely confidence will bring us success, and yes, this is much appreciated. My next question is to Manish. Manish, you have a number of brands in India. Someone reported me there are more than 78 foreign brands, from Adidas to Zara, well established in India. And Mauritius, we have to now be manufacturing for brands, okay? And could you foresee that Mauritius could engage not only to supply this brand in India, form alliance with these old brands who might be present since British time, or even to have a brand for India that we manufacture in order, to beat the competition in the apparel sector in India?
Well, I'll answer it in two perspectives. Our own perspective and textile in general from Mauritius. Our own perspective is slightly different because we operate in India. So for us to supply to a brand in India, we just actually supply locally. So actually 30% of our production is India for India. We also need to keep in mind that we are in fashion, and fashion is about speed. Therefore, the closer you are to the market, with an ability to supply, the more chances you would have of success. So that's in general. Now, to answer the question on another perspective, whether Mauritius can be a supplier to international brands that we are supplying from here, the answer is yes. In a lot of our cases, so India is specific to us, but if I compare to China, a lot of our customers, we supply from Mauritius to their main market, as well as we ship to China, which also is duty-free from Mauritius. So the same parallel can be applied to anyone except us, because we will supply from India. And yes, the answer to your question is yes. Having said that, a very important part is indeed speed to market. India, or any brand, especially international brand, you miss it by a few weeks or months, you're out. The season changes, and that's it.
Yes, Manish, I'm excited too. I think many people in this audience, yes, we can for this market for India. But one point just being raised, Sylvain, is with regards, you have to be close to the market. And you have been discussing with distributors. Your rum that we manufacture in Mauritius have won a number of distinctions. We got even New Grow winning the best rum award at international level. Rum from 𝐻𝑜𝑘𝐬𝐬 also have received a number of distinctions. And from perspective of the Indian distributors, what has been their response? What has been their reaction when you have been proposing Mauritius rum, with certain attributes as you just explained?
Well, I think going to India to export your rum, there's two ways. Either you are going on a very cheap rum, or you're going on a aged rum. Today, 96% or 95% of our rum is exported bulk, and very few aged. And the tendency today in Europe, the aged rum is picking up. And we have all interest to go with the aged rum. The fact is that the aged rum, your revenue is 15 times more than exporting bulk cheap rum. Secondly, we should go into the upper middle class to sell our rum, because those people will look at the origin where your rum comes from, and not buy and drink the price. So surely this is something where we have to look at when we go and to export to India, especially as Dr. Boudou just said, we have 100% rebate on duty. Now you can understand if you are exporting our aged rum at around 400 rupees the bottle, 100% rebate, the differential competition between us and the competitor is huge, so the opportunity is great.
Yeah, I'll have to ask you a very important question now. We listen to the quality of products that we manufacture. So Mauritius manufacture a quantity of quality products, but we are not a massive producer like China, India, okay. And the market is new for us, okay. We know Bollywood in India. We don't know much about the market. But what you would recommend from when you spoke with all these major retailers, wholesalers, buyers in India, what you would recommend are the best approach for us? Should we have an approach like a label made with care Mauritius? Is such an approach like together, having a wide range of product offered under it? Or should we promote products as per a specific category for their distinct markets? The markets of medical devices or the market of spirits, are quite, distinctive. So what, according to you, should be, the best approach for us, as we intend to penetrate this market?
I think made with care from Mauritius is a good tagline. I liked it. And I think we really need to make it a brand or a slogan while coming to market like India. Yeah, and Malaysia did same thing, Indonesia did same thing, or Thailand did same thing while coming to India. So having that tagline or a slogan and then marketing is easier. I mean, I'm an engineer by profession, but it took very long time for me to understand what is product and what is brand. Yeah, and how much brand is a product and how much product is a brand. And then eventually we understood that having a brand is probably more important than having a product. Yeah, so creating that brand and awareness of that brand can give us a long-term value, in my opinion. So if that is the tagline which we all can promote as a team, can give us a long-term results. And absolutely, I mean, for some products like special sugar, yeah, I don't know whether people go in the supermarket and look for the brand in sugar. So some products like sugar probably may not need brand, but medical devices, for example, yeah, having a brand there will matter a lot. Yeah, so we have to be selective in terms of where to make it a generalized product and sell it as Indian product, where to make it a special product and sell it as a Mauritian product. Yeah, but then having creation of that brand will definitely help us for long run.
So a branded approach for Magic Mauritius or for made with care from Mauritius could be definitely envisaged. Stefan, India's medical hub is growing. Number of specialist hospitals, number of super specialist hospitals. We just heard that the demand for medical devices, not only the product that you manufacture, a wide range of medical devices demand keep on increasing. I could see from statistics the demand of medical syringes itself is called to reach 385 million by 2030. Could Mauritius be that focal point in the manufacture of medical devices? Could players already present here like Natech envisage, related or unrelated diversification? Could you find this possible, you as an expert in the field?
Thank you. So you have to understand that Natech is, like most of us around this table here, is in a niche market. We're doing one product out of 1 million different medical device products. The advantage of the medical device industry, it's not a mass manufacturing. When you sell 100,000 products a year, it's a lot. And your company can be profitable. The thing is, those medical devices are different one from the others because they treat different disease, they address different problems. They're basically tools that the doctor is going to use. In his toolbox, you have a screwdriver, is different from a hammer. It's exactly the same thing with catheter, and each of them is a niche market. And I believe that we can develop the competency here in Mauritius, and that we're actually putting our money where our mouth is, because we're setting up a new building in Côte d'Or, and we're trying to develop a technological park for medical device. The first building will be done on August 2023. So it's coming soon. And we believe that we're going to try to do joint venture with Indian company in order to grow. Because if it stay organic, if we try to develop all the technology in-house, it's going to take us years. So we believe there's a place in the market, not just for Natech, but for a business park with medical device company. You just need to imagine, would not be an American company or European company like a Boston Scientific happy to have a manufacturing facility here in order to serve the whole area. If you look at Africa, India, Mauritius is right in the middle, and there are definitely two growing giant country, I would say, with a lot of population which currently do not have access to all the medical devices that are currently accessible for anybody in Europe or in the US. So there's definitely an opportunity for us in Mauritius, but we have to pick the right type of product and the right type of partnership in order to develop and to create a hub. We're never going to create 10, 200, 300 company, but we can definitely do a hub that, as you heard with all those numbers, those billions of dollars, there's plenty enough, just a portion, a fraction of it is enough to do a revolution in Mauritius because we're so small.
Yeah, true. Evolution or revolution, little Mauritius in front of two big giants, but you will prompt me to say mighty Mauritius. I'm pressed by time, but still I'll just cover, a couple of questions which I believe is important. And my question is to Manish. Manish, Mauritius, a small island development state. Mauritius, who is engaged on sustainability. We start walking the path of sustainability. And with regards to new markets like India, I always keep telling it to my team about, walking along the line of being 100% responsible. Do you find a market for sustainable product manufactured from Mauritius to India, or no, this is not competitive for us?
Well, it's a big subject, but yes, I think so, because more than a country, I think in general, there is a lot more awareness on buying sustainability, especially textile. Textile is one of the most polluting industries in the world. Actually, that's a fact, and we have to face it. And therefore, there is the consumer who is more and more becoming aware of this, and therefore a shift which is happening from fast fashion to more sustainable fashion, a garment that you can wear for longer. That's a general shift that we are seeing all over the world. And India, with its, let's say, a big population in the younger, let's say, age bracket, would definitely be embracing this. Now, the speed at which it is getting embraced and the speed at which the consumer is ready to pay for that is different in different parts of the world. But having said that, for sure, India, along with China, are the fastest growing retail markets. There is a population which is very aware of what's happening around them. Therefore, the tag of sustainable production or produced sustainability will be very attractive. And this is where 𝐶EL has 𝐶EL Textile has put a lot of energy. We are one of the top 5% in the world in sustainable production, and we continue to invest in it because we have a firm belief that this is going to happen anyway. So before we are being told to do it, let's do it. Let's do it because we want to do it, not because we are being told to do it. So that's, I think, a big value for us, and we'll continue to drive it. So because we firmly believe that the consumer will one day put money behind the action, the thoughts. So that's our belief. We might be wrong, but let's hope not.
So in the same line, you know, when we talk about textile, when we talk about fabrics, when we talk about yarns, could we envisage, you know, could we attract, you know, in that particular segment, everyone wear denim, sustainable denim is being more and more relevant these days. Do you feel with the context of CECPA, in the context of our closer relationship now with the Indian business community, such sort of partnership can be envisaged, that we manufacture such fabrics here to export it to the region?
Yes. Although my sense, my personal sense would be that it will be more value added for investment in Mauritius in yarn rather than in fabric, because yarn can be looked at as a central hub for supply all over the region. So that if there was one thing that I would probably pick out from my sense, it will be investment in yarn by an Indian counterpart. Because there are not many yarn spinning available, and Mauritius, I believe, does give a conducive environment for such an investment, which could be the hub to supply all over the region, and quite attractive, to be honest. Yes.
So I'll have, you know, because as I'm already exceeding my time, but one and two last questions, because the conversation is quite interesting. Yadav, distribution channels of India generally have, not in India, all over the world, have high entry barriers. They don't tell you to come now with your new products and we are going to market your products for you. Mauritius, we have a good name as a supplier on the European market, on the US market, on the South African market, okay? And as per the different survey you carried out in this market research assignment, okay? What will be required for the Indian retail distribution channels, you know, to onboard Mauritian products?
I think we should think about a distribution-friendly products. Yeah, when I say distribution-friendly products, if Mauritian companies stay here and expect Indian dealers, distributors, and partners to come and start distributing their products, that is not going to happen, or it'll take time. The distribution-friendly products are those products which have made thoughtfully, who have all the certifications which are necessary for Indian market, who have the supply chain or a warehousing facility already available. And then there will be a situation where instead of we finding a distributors and dealers and distributors will start approaching to Mauritian companies. So having a warehouse there, having a virtual office, or having whatever certifications which are necessary. So we have to make distributors' life easy. Yeah, and that's what is distribution-friendly products I'm talking about.
And I'll give one last question and then ask for a final word from all of you. And my last question goes to you, Sylvain Oxenham. Spirits is probably one of the category where we have a big potential of production. The production is not exploited to the fullest, all right? And we have seen that from previous case studies that Indian big multinational, they penetrate India through cricket or through Bollywood. Pepsi, Cola and Coca-Cola did it. Now, could the spirits, be developing, labels, especially that we know Mauritius, we shoot a number of Indian Bollywood movies there. Could such a connection be envisaged? Could such product development be envisaged from your side? Could such way of distribution be envisaged?
Well, it's complicated. I mean, to penetrate a market, advertising is very costly. It's very difficult. This is why I would really advise that we should invest in the brand rum Mauritius rum, as Mexico did for its tequila, as Scotland did for its whiskey, and so on. So, yes, we have to invest today so as to create wealth for the next generation. Branding is important. We can't always sell your product as a commodity, otherwise it will still be at the mercy of the buyers. Yes, now we can do sponsorship, very good ideas with Pepsi Cola. Yes, they are known products, we can follow and take this advantage. But surely all these are the costs. Can we bear the costs? This is all the financial aspect is so important when you try to go in a foreign market and to try to sell your product. Just to little gimme, we went to Tanzania, and we said we are going to go in the warehouse project and we are going to sell our product. When here in Mauritius, I put any product in the market, the name 𝐿𝐴 is on it, people buys it. But when I go to Tanzania, 𝐿𝐴 on the label, nobody knows it, nobody buys it. So the distribution channel, your tool you give us for your survey, all this is very important. Up to the client at the further end, this is how are we going to convince them to buy my product. This is the gap. This is how we have to work it out, how match all the thinking just to succeed.
Definitely the private sector and the public sector in Mauritius, they always work together. And in order, to develop markets, to succeed, we have, to collaborate. And obviously marketing is not that simple. We know we have to face a number of competition, and there are many hurdles also. And I'll ask a final word from all of you before I take some questions from the audience. A final word from you, Devesh.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, I think it's a question of we have already said, differentiation. I should say that in India, sugar in particular is very sensitive, politically sensitive. It's one of the rare countries where, for instance, the farmers are guaranteed a payment for their cane, irrespective of a market price. For instance, when you look at the retail price of sugar, of white sugar today, it's half what it would have been elsewhere. So we have, therefore, to educate the consumer to understand why they are paying a higher price for something which is special. So I think this is where we need, but now to be able to do that, we need a good partner, a good distributor, and hopefully a couple of people we have identified will take us along that road. Thank you.
Manish, your final word.
Well, I think it's a journey. Any such initiative is a journey, and everybody has a different story. So the important thing is, like somebody said before, there is a framework available, and then everybody is fighting their own little battle. Some are easier, some are more difficult, some journeys are longer, some are shorter. But the framework has been put here. The other thing that maybe we can discuss further from a framework perspective is speed to market. So we can't deny the fact that it will take 4 weeks for your sugar to reach India. And in some cases, it becomes critical that speed and availability is sometimes more important than cost. So maybe that's one perspective, and maybe I'm biased towards textile or fashion, but that's one perspective that we can look deeper in terms of the framework which is available to us. That's all.
Mr. Bihari, your final word.
I think besides all the historical, cultural, and relationship we had we have between Mauritius and India, I think every business has room to exploit the CECPA bilateral agreement between India and Mauritius, so everybody has to take his chance to benefit from this agreement. Thank you.
Yadav, from your side.
I mean, I agree to him. Every journey, big journey, starts with simple steps. We have taken concrete steps of defining CECPA as agreement. The research has been made. We have reached to the target customers. And now all of these steps should carry forward consistently. Yeah, so we should have webinars, we should have delegations, exhibitions could be targeted, a digital platform can be enabled. So all of that in a collaborative and synchronized manner needs to be conducted, where government and industry should go hand in hand. I think that's the way forward.
Stefan.
I believe that now is the CECPA, the framework is there. The barrier to entry has been removed. Now it's our job as entrepreneur to take risk and put money where our mouth is and go for it. You know, we're talking about advertising here. I need technology. We need to invest and make it happen. That's how I see it.
Of course, Sylvain.
Well, I can just go in the same way. We have the tools now. Use them. I don't think we can do more. Rebate tax, market research, use them, discuss, brainstorm with EDB, and move forward now. We have to move forward and make it happen. This I want.
Yes, I think this will be my last word also. We need to make it happen. And we could see the perspective being discussed here has been from perspective to compete through technology, to be close to the clients, to be risk takers, and of course to try. Okay, 20 years Natech took to be able to develop a market there without any agreement, without major big support. But now with all this framework, we can make it happen. Yes, we can go for goal. So thank you, gentlemen, for your participation. It has been a pleasure talking with all of you. And in the audience, if I have not too much exceeded the time, and if we could take any question from, with the permission of my colleague Vinay. So the gentleman at the back first, he has been the first to raise his hand.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank all the participants. And one thing that I've learned today is that, yes, to enter Indian market, you've got to have a very, very special reason, which is
Please introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Vijay Bihari. My question will be, not question, rather add value to this platform of CECPA, which is, I think, a beautiful platform that you have started. I should congratulate EDB and like to take Her Excellency's word this morning about reinventing and think out of the box. I have heard a lot of comments that are made, and they are basically niche product, specialized item that could penetrate, that have been penetrated in the Indian market. I have lived in, in Africa for almost 25 years, and East and West. I'm not in the manufacturing, I'm in the service, but I would like to have something to add to what Mr. Yadav has presented today, and to add to that under the CECPA, that how India, through Mauritius, benefit into penetrating our sourcing from the African market and to go back to India. I will tell you a simple thing. In the West Africa, do you know the sesame seed? We call it till. Do you know it doesn't come from India? It comes from West Africa. I won't tell you the name because I met a lot of Indians there. Around the world, around Africa, when I travel in 34 countries, I always go and look for an Indian restaurant because I'm a vegetarian. So that way, I come across a lot of Indians who are settled and doing this business. Pigeon peas comes from East Africa. I'm just giving you two items. So, Mr. Yadav, I've heard what the gentleman has talked about. I can hear what Stefan said, how many years it took him to penetrate Indian market. Yes, the market is evolving. It is a good platform that you have CECPA. Why can't we extend it rather than, create a kind of commodity kind of market for all these products that come from Africa and get the Indian investors to get that branding that we're talking about. I'm just giving a suggestion, right? The branding that we're talking about, he's right. You talk an Indian, he talks Mauritius about a honeymoon in the destination or a wedding in the destination. So what I'm trying to say is that if we could get the commodities, right, like what I just mentioned, make Mauritius as the hub and India procure from this, it will change the whole perception and all of us can benefit from it. This is a suggestion that I'm trying to give to you, and think about it and tell me how we can work under this platform, because believe me, even sorghum, there is a problem of oil. Even sorghum is available next door. So we could get the Indian to come and invest and to produce, and the Indian investors, and can make it work. I agree, this is a beautiful platform and I congratulate it, and I took the word of what the Excellency said this morning, think out of the box. Thank you.
Sure, I agree to your idea, and absolutely that is how we are planning to have it. And the morning session we spoke about setting up Indian economic park here, a business park sort of thing. So that is exactly with the purpose that Indian companies who want to penetrate African market, they will use Mauritius as a gateway to Africa. But then, building up this ecosystem will going to take time. So it is not at all one way. We are thinking, speaking, and acting in two-way direction, where it is from Mauritius to India as well as India, Mauritius to Africa. Yeah, and whole of that ecosystem, which as Sir said in the morning, that everything is in the some part is done, some part is into negotiation, and these things going to take time to have an exact shape. But then the initiative of doing it was important, and all of you who are here confirms that we have a serious interest and a mindset to go forward.
One last question.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Vidya Prakash Kisundayal. I am a Mauritian based in Africa for the last 30 years. I'm mostly in textile, school uniform, workwears, and corporate wears, which we are doing in Southern Africa, mostly Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, all the Southern Africa, we are doing that. I can see CECPA is a two-way traffic, as Mr. Jadhav said. When we are talking of India and Africa, we are not talking only 1.4 billion people in India, but also we are talking of 1.4 billion equally in Africa. So when India talk to Mauritius, they must have in mind that they're talking to another 1.4 billion market in Africa. So I think CECPA will do something. It is a good thing that CECPA is happening. It took us almost 20 years to come here. If this to happen, I think the trade barriers has been broken, but there is also some bureaucratic barriers which need to be broken also as well for this thing to happen. If not, it will take us another 20 years to things to happen. As my friend said, Africa there is no finished goods in Africa. Africa has got raw material, has got many minerals and other things. I can see India is very hungry of raw materials like China. Africa, you see, it was borderline was drawn by the Europeans, the English, the British, the French, the Portuguese, and what. But now the Chinese is the one who is drawing the line, railway line, the other things. Most of the things which is happening in Africa, like even in Mauritius, if construction is happening, intense construction, you will see 7, 8 is done by Chinese. Only 1, 2 by Indian and local manufacturers. So we can take this CECPA, as we said, there is a lot of raw material in Africa, There is no finished goods in Africa. So we can bring these raw materials, put our 35% local content, and export it. Like, why not polishing of diamonds? There is soda ash to make detergents. From Africa, we can bring and do detergents. There is a lot of other things also, like cobalt, timber from Africa. So these are things which I can see India is very hungry for that. So we can bring this, put 30% local content, and we can export it free to India. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's more of a statement. So definitely, this is what I can assure you, sir. This is what we are doing at Economic Development Board. Not only bringing Indian expertise here to transform, to export to the regional market, and also getting the raw materials from India to transform here in Mauritius to export to the world. So we are using the expertise of India. We are using the raw materials that could be available in Africa, and this is the way forward for us in Mauritius. So I've exceeded the time. One last question, please. There's another panel discussion. We need to move. This is the last. I won't take much more. We can obviously discuss afterwards with all the panelists.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Somna from 𝐶𝐬𝐿 International. So I've been working exporting textile waste since 10 years to India. And it's a quite competitive markets. Mr. Girish know me. I've been fighting a lot. I just sit and back with Mr. Bihari from India. And you see our waste to India is taxed about 12%. The textile waste is taxed to about 12%. I was talking to a counterpart in India, and the guys told me that we don't have a free trade agreement with Mauritius, but we have it with Tanzania. We are importing from Tanzania the same material without tax. So I was astonished to hear, and my product is not competitive. So if there is something can be done in this way, I talked several times to several people, maybe this HS code can be included in this. Thank you.
Yeah, it's noted. You can meet with Crescendo afterwards, and we'll take the matter, the point that you raised will be taken into consideration. Panelists, thank you very much for your participation. It has been a very beautiful experience.
Thank you, Girish.
And I'm going now to pass you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for such a wonderful panel, and I think they have shed light on a few things. But I think the key learnings from this session is about understanding the market, R&D, as has been stated before. Do your research and development, design your product to meet the Indian market, and also maybe why not investing in a brand, and let's see how we can work together, collaborate, private sector, government agencies all together, and see how we can together promote Mauritian produce, Mauritian brands in India. So I think Mauritian brand, R&D, and understanding the market are key things that come out from this panel today. So we are coming to the last session, and we are running out of time. So we were supposed to schedule for a tea session. Do you want 5 minutes for the tea, or we carry on with the last session of the day? Right? Okay, well, it takes only 5 minutes. Quick tea.